Steve, this is Colin.
This is crazy, isn't it?
You found yourself a chip shop.
Well, I love fish and chips. That's one of my favourite meals.
Been a family business since 1968, and I started on my own 30 years ago, and then we all joined up together. 8 staff here, 3 staff in the other shop. Emma's full-time, and we got to sort her pension out next year, or when this new pension thing starts. But we got our own private pensions, so, but I've got no idea who they're with. I've got no idea how much I'm paying to it.
You probably won't know this, but there's some new legislation. I mean, why would anyone know? No. But every employer in the country, which will include you, if you've got employees, you must have at least one.
Yeah.
If you've got employees, you're going to have to set up a pension scheme, whether you know about it or not. It's all very well, people having to set up and run pension schemes if they run big companies. That works fine because those big companies have got personnel departments, they've got HR people, they can do that. And I've always made the point, what happens when these regulations get down to people in real life? And I said, like my chip shop. Now that gave people the impression that I ran a chip shop. I'd love to, I wish I did, but it's just an ordinary business. How does it play out in normal, everyday life? And I mean, one of the things you'll have to do is, I mean, do you pay people weekly, I guess, do you? Is that, or is it, you've got to actually work out who your employees are in terms of what the legislation means, and you're required to give them certain information.
Oh, right.
In writing, telling them who they are and how they've been assessed, and depending on their assessment, you might have to put them into a pension scheme, which you first got to get. You've got to get one, and the government have helping with that because they've got this big national scheme called Nest.
Never heard of it.
But you will. I mean, you will. Yeah. I'm not making any of this up.
No. My wife's sister is like our accountant, and she sort of know about that.
What we've built is something that does all that for you by simply plugging into the stuff that your accountant uses to pay you your pay slips or however you do it, pay packets, whatever. Yeah. So when your accountant says pay this, this and this, at the same time they tell us that information and we say, while you're about it, give that letter to this person, give this to that person, sign this and give it to, by that date. The super dish pension scheme, right? Yeah. You're going to have that here. You don't have to do it right away. Every firm in the country, yours included, has been given something called a staging date. Right? That's kind of your go live date for this to work. That staging date, you can already work out. There's a calculator thing online. You can go and type in. All you need to find out your staging date is to put in your employer reference number for PAYE, and it will tell you what your staging date is. For you, it's going to be a long way on because I'm guessing you've got fewer than 10 employees. Listen to this. Some people who are not eligible, when you tell them they're not eligible, you've got to tell them that they can be eligible if they want to be eligible. And if they do want to be eligible, they can become eligible if they want to. And you've got to pay in for them, even though you don't have to pay in for them if they're not eligible. So they can make themselves eligible by opting in effect. Oh, right. But you've got to give them the means and the information to do that. It's not hard, it's just that you've got to be a pensions expert to understand those things. So the whole point of what we've built is that through your accountant, we only work through accountants, through your accountant we would give you not just instructions on what to do, but the very bits of paper you need to sign and hand out. And that's not going to keep you awake at night.
No, it ain't.
And you wouldn't have to understand any of the pension laws.
And that's a good job there.
And basically, you would be compliant and you just give out what you're given and it's all done for you.
Oh, that's handy then.
What we're talking about here is really what I've always said, right? This pension legislation is fine in the way it plays out in the big companies and the massive companies, but when it comes down to real life businesses, people, do people really want to be pension experts? I think not. But it's no good just having a system-based solution. It's got to be affordable for everyday businesses.